วิทยากรท่านนี้ค่ะท่านเป็นกรรมการผู้อำนวยการฮ่องกง Education City จำกัดเขตบริหารพิเศษฮ่องกงแห่งสาธารณรัฐประชาชนจีนท่านจะมาพูดเรื่องการเสริมสร้างความร่วมมือในการปฏิบัติงานระหว่างภาครัฐบาลภาคธุรกิจและภาคการศึกษาพลังการภาวะผู้นำแบบร่วมมือเพื่อการพัฒนาที่ยั่งยืนOur speaker this session is currently the Chief Executive Director of Hong Kong Education City Limited. He manages private education portal in Hong Kong with primary role in promoting and supporting e-learning for all secondary and primary schools. Please let me introduce Mr. Victor Cheng Pat-Leung upon the stage as a speaker.
Good morning, everyone. It gives me great honor to be here today to share with you one of the most important topics in education, which is about how we can make use of technology to improve the quality of education. Let me begin by introducing some of the background in Hong Kong. You know, I come from Hong Kong. I myself work in universities for more than 20 years in bringing infrastructure and e-learning systems to university. I also work in assessment authority, setting up public examination systems, and now my role is with a company called Hong Kong Education City. This is a wholly owned company by the government, and Hong Kong Education City has been set up 15 years ago in Hong Kong, so this year is our 15th anniversary. The reason why the government need to set up a new company or adopt a new model in order to implement e-learning in Hong Kong, there are many good reasons for that. For one thing is in traditional government, it is more about policies and governing the schools, curriculum, this kind of activities. But the government is less familiar with how to build commercial relationship with business partners, or to adopt more flexible models to implement infrastructures and how to do the support for the schools. And that's why we, 15 years ago, we started to think maybe we need a separate model to do that. And that's why Hong Kong Education City is being formed. And so our primary objective is to use technology for education, but there is a whole spectrum of things that we can do. About 10 years ago, we set up 4 primary focus. One is about e-resources, and I believe in every city we face the same issue that traditional textbook materials have to be digitized, and making use of more advanced delivery systems, no matter it's the internet or it's through multimedia video, e-textbooks, and so on. So e-resources calls for a lot of transformation and development works. The second thing is about information. Information meaning that there are lots of internet information. We talk about collaboration, communication. These are all very important skills for our next generation. And so the ability to process information, to integrate them, to turn information into knowledge are always the key objective of why we have to change our curriculum and also to empower our students. So to provide useful information for education, make sure that the teachers and the students and even parents have access to the necessary informations are also very important. That's why we set up an education portal in Hong Kong. The portal has set up various information for the different stakeholders that I just mentioned. And then the third thing about service. By service, we mean that for a traditional schools to use technology, definitely there are lots of things like network, like projector, computer labs, lots of things that need to be supported. And the fourth thing, also according to Michael Fullan, this is actually one of the most important parts, is about building a learning community, about how to able to we know we need to increase the capacity of the whole education workforce, including all teachers and other principals and so on. And the best way or the best approach to have this being done successfully is to build the professional community, because there's no absolute or no definite way that there is a model that will work for everyone. So again, the community part is very important. We started 15 years ago. The first thing more important for Hong Kong is about the education portal that provides email access, a website, lots of information. We built different learning material for different subjects. We even built a learning game platform for our primary students. So our mission, we have three important stakeholders. The first one is, of course, teacher. More than half of our effort are spent for teachers. The second group is students. We provide service directly to students as well. But about 3 years ago, we started to also put some emphasis for parents, because after running e-learning for many years, we started to experience the hurdle that when a school wants to change the curriculum, change the model, to ask the student to bring in their computers, it becomes very apparent that the home-school relationship and the partnership is very important, and the parents all need to understand the school's learning approach and also participate to help the student at home. So the parents' part is something relatively new for us, but very important. We are not just putting up information for parents. Actually, we put up very large promotion activities for parents, not in a school, but in a shopping mall. So we build a big event with a lot of different publishers together and bring in the parents, so that we have thousands of parents able to more quickly understand what are the changes happening in the schools. And the fourth part about as market facilitator. Again, this part is very new, but often being missed in, I would say, in many cities, in implementing large-scale e-learning to make sure that the market will work and the market can support the education is very, very important. I heard Mr. Tarvin mention about the ecosystem, the learning or education ecosystems, about the 21st century skills, the Partnership 21 model. These are all very hot topics, very important. We talk about many issues about creativity, communication, collaborations. In that particular Partnership 21 model, we have a part on 4 C's, as many speakers has referred to. But there are also a very important part about content knowledge, subject knowledge. But again, this part is well understood. I think most teachers, professionals understand about the content part, the curriculum and content. The third part, which is also very important, but I would say less well being implemented, is about the information literacy, about the technology skills for all our teachers and students. That part is also in the Partnership 21 model that we need to develop. And to do the technology part, we all know, allow me to say that schools are not at the frontier of technology, usually, right? We are not airlines company, banking, finance. They are very fast, very adaptive to technology. But schools is still a place that requires a lot of interaction, human touch, with heart. And so we cannot just put in technology and forget other things. I particularly appreciate the slide about the Khan Lab School, right? That says something that's very important. When we put in technology, we never forget the importance of interaction and life education that we need to provide to our students. And, but because of that, the way how we bridge the gap between technology and education is always not easy. And to make it successful, we have already done many years, and we know that because for some reasons we are not able to scale up, meaning that we have very successful e-learning cases in some schools, some international schools, some local schools, some schools who turn out to have a very brilliant principal that designed many good learning approach, but a very important but, we are not able to replicate this model to most of the schools. The reason for that is, there are many reasons for that. Maybe because it needs particular leadership from the principal. Maybe it needs particular content and technology support from some companies. And when you want to scale this up, it becomes not economically viable. This sometimes happens in education, right? You have to be a pioneer to do something, but then you realize that it's too expensive for everyone. So the way to make e-learning with quality and able to sustain in a long time, and most importantly, able to scale up and scale out that can benefit every schools, will definitely need the participation of the industry. We need the whole industry to support with all this technology and integration and content development and so on. So the market facilitator is one of the important role for SET. We help the industry to adapt their products or to customize some other commercial solutions into educations and make it easier to implement in schools. Make it easier to implement schools is again not very simple, which I will go through later on. So go back to a little bit about what we do. We have we have websites to support teachers, students, parents. We also have a corporate members website that we support the industry. Like I mentioned earlier, that we want to facilitate the market to make it able to create an ecosystem. For students, of course, we have senior students, we have junior students, secondary, primary, so we have different approach in our website. For primary student, it's more a visual interface. For secondary school, it's more self-directed learning type. And again, one of the important, I would say, quite successful mission for us is we managed to recruit all the schools, almost 90%, more than 90% of the schools as our members. It's not compulsory. We need to kind of like selling to the schools that we have some service that is good. So the schools will voluntarily to register as our members and participate in our activities. Right now we have about close to about 1 million members. We have about 800,000 students, K-12 students in Hong Kong, plus about 80,000 teachers. And we have also teacher training students, pre-service teacher training students. We also have some kindergarten preschool teachers as our members. And of course, we also have parents. Right now we have about 200,000 parents as our members as well. And about our major services, I will quickly go through them. The first one is the EdV, the top left corner. It's a video platform that supports flipped learning or flipped classroom, which is a very, at least it's a proven way in mathematics about having a video or some study for students to learn at home before they join the class. So we created a platform to support that. Many people ask, you have YouTube, you have Khan Academy, why you need another platform? But I believe many teachers probably already knows YouTube or some commercial platforms are not good for education, especially for junior students. They will be distracted, they will be guided towards something else. So for education, it's still necessary to have a platform that we can guide the teachers and students better and make sure that their time are spent meaningfully rather than on something else. The second service is the English campus. Again, language learning, make use of technology, multimedia can be very effective. So we have English learning software and so on. We have also a special deal with the TV station in Hong Kong that we will put all the English news, Chinese news on our platform, and we have teachers to create some questions for our students. So every day we have new exercise and questions based on most current happenings in Hong Kong. And so it is a very good supporting material for like liberal studies, general studies, English and Chinese and so on. We have an online assessment platform, we call it Online Question Bank. The assessment platform takes we have an assessment item bank that includes public examination items, so that for students or for teachers, if they want to have some self-assessment or to know which areas that they need some more study, they can go through this platform. We have all the statistics that shows how they compare with other students in Hong Kong, because we do have a large-scale assessment, very well benchmarked statistic in our item bank. In terms of learning content, we also have e-textbook. We have a bookshelf that has various subjects contents. We even have an online shopping mall for education products because again, education is not a consumer product. You cannot put out a mall and hope people come in and buy something. It doesn't happen that way. Education solution is something that needs professional discussion and study. So we have a particular platform for commercial vendors to put in their products. I probably cannot go through all of this, but I will pick two more to mention about. One is the Learning and Teaching Expo, the second row on the left corner. The Learning and Teaching Expo is an professional education expo in Hong Kong that is the 6 years in its 6 years now. It's going to be held next month in 10 to 12 of December in Hong Kong. We started this expo with a very big dream. Teacher training is very important, but we cannot send all the teachers to overseas for training. It will be too expensive. But on the other hand, in terms of latest development in education, we do need teachers to have more exposure. So we started to think maybe we can bring the best people of the world to Hong Kong and bring the best product to Hong Kong to showcase to the teachers. And that's why we started to build this expo. 4 years ago, we have about 1,000 to 2,000 teachers attending. Last year, we have about more than 8,000. And we believe this year we probably will have more than 10,000 teachers attending this event. Another one I think worth mentioning is the Reading City. In terms of reading, probably from OECD, from ASEAN, I believe in many economic organizations, they all said that reading is most effective and in terms of education literacy and to develop higher order skills. And so we have started to build a a reading platform for students. We have thousands of books for them to read, and also a platform for them to share. So students can comment on the books. They can share their feeling with others. We actually also have a writing platform that the student can write a book report. They can also write something else. We have some famous authors in Hong Kong who will mark these submissions and also share back with the teachers and students. And we also publish some e-books for our young writers in Hong Kong. So every year we have some competition, they submit their articles, and we compile the articles into e-books to share. So this is kind of a quick summary of the various services that we do. Now, when we plan for the e-learning for the next few years, we have something in mind that it is no longer a computer laboratory, which we are very sure. It will be mobile learning environment. And when we say mobile learning environment, sometimes different people have different meaning to them. But to summarize a little bit about what is happening, what we are doing, and we want to do it better in the future, there are mainly 5 categories of activities for students. Starting from the right-hand side, the red box is about personal learning tools. We all know this is not a problem for students. Students are very easy with technology. They will use camera, they will use PowerPoint, they will use dictionary, web. These are all easy for them. However, we still need to take them one step further towards the best use of this kind of tools. For example, PowerPoint, I'm using a PowerPoint, but I'm using very basic features of PowerPoint. For our students, we would very much like them to be able to present, to share, but also collaboratively develop their presentation. They can even design a survey form in their PowerPoint and collect the feedback from other students right in the classroom. This is part of the feature in we call Office Mix. It is a Microsoft version of Office 365 that is very powerful. So we already gone through that period of just presentation, but really look for collaboration and communication, more high-order skills to use this kind of technology. Another example I would like to mention is about the explaining everything. Probably some teachers has already experienced and used this application as well. This app helps people to explain things to others. So it's not just for teachers to explain a concept to students, but for students to explain their idea to other students as well. So these are the kind of tools that we would advocate for use by students. The second box, the yellow box about internet resources, again, it is very, I believe, very common nowadays. Everyone knows how to search the internet, but the ability to search really relevant information, quality information, is something still not very easy. I can share my experience that we interview a group of students participating in e-learning. We want to see how their ability to digest information from internet and present in their project reports. And 90%, almost 9 out of 10, present their report based on their sources from Wikipedia. It is not bad, but this is the only sources that they refer to, 90% of the students. So maybe 5 years ago we would say, well, a student can look up Wikipedia, that's very good, right? They immediately can answer a lot of questions. But today, we really need them to understand the quality of information. Even when you go into Wikipedia, you have to have the ability to understand whether this source is credible. I, again, very much share one of the slides that says that, well, actually half the information we get is not correct. So it's really necessary that we train up our students the ability to digest the information. The middle one is about learning platform. So we have learning management system, assessment system, some collaboration systems. We share with a project in Australia leading by Professor Pat-Leung from New South Wales that in future assessment or in the PISA starting from this year has an evaluation of students' ability to collaborate with each other. So there is a set of assessment tasks designed for students to work together. They can work together from different countries. They don't have to work in a room. They can just work collaborative on network. But how academically or how can we reliably measure a student's ability to collaborate is not very straightforward, right? So for some research, there are some mechanisms that design and says we have to test how many resources a student knows, how many exchange of information they need to conduct in order to solve a problem. So there are various this kind of tasks for online assessment that are being developed. We are still developing our assessment platform. Assessment is very, very important to make sure that the e-learning is on the right track. We want to be able to understand our students' performance. So that is a big area that we are working on. We are building an assessment item bank of tens of thousands of items, but these items are all being scientifically tested and benchmarked, so they can be very reliable tools for our future measurement. The fourth, on the right-hand side, the top right corner, about the classroom apps, this is the most challenging part for teachers. When we say e-learning, many teachers will first respond how to use application in classrooms. While it is true that there are many apps that classroom can be more engaging, can be more interactive, the student find it more interesting and responds better to the teacher's question and so on. So there are many applications that are useful. However, we also find many teachers don't know exactly what they are going to achieve, but they bring in this kind of interactivity into the classroom because they just want to test the technology. So many of the examples are not good examples. I observed many classes that about half of the teachers do not really leverage on this kind of activity. They just do it like asking a class, do you find red is better or yellow is better? And they push a button and show a chart on screen. Maybe 20 students say red, 15 students say yes. But you can achieve this by just ask the student to raise their hands, right? You don't need to go through so many trouble in order to get this information. But on the other hand, there are good use of this technology. For example, to present an essay, we want the student to understand a good writing, like good use of word, good use of sentence. And then the teacher asks the student, what are the words that you think most amazing, most inspiring to you? Everyone will have a different answer, right? I can't ask students to raise their hands and respond which word they like. Probably there are dozens of these words. However, there are applications like word tagging. It is a simple app that when the student pushes a button on a particular word, it will count how many people choose that word, and it will show visually which word is most popular. It will have a big bubble showing this word, most people find it very good, and so on. So visually, the class can immediately reflect how people appreciate the article or how they learn from that particular article. And I believe that is a good use of technology because previously in a traditional classroom, this is not possible. You cannot have this kind of immediate feedback in the classroom. The last box is about e-textbook. While e-textbook is always something I think to the publishing industry, very challenging. Traditional textbook, we are not saying that they just convert into PDF and it's an e-textbook. I know some countries need to do that because of maybe some students don't even have textbooks, so to make textbook available is very important as well. But in Hong Kong, we spend a lot of work to study how to make an e-textbook effective. And of course, to make it effective, you need like multimedia, interactive tasks and so on. And it makes the development too expensive and too slow. If it takes 2 or 3 years to develop an e-textbook, it already gets outdated. For many contents, we don't want to wait for that long. So e-textbook is still a challenge. Again, I would share with you some of our findings later on. So to summarize, some of the most important components in e-learning, I would say, starting from the bottom, network infrastructure is, of course, most important. And the second part about a system that we can keep the students' name, class, their assessment results, the learning management system is also very important. And then on the top, we have 3 boxes. One is e-textbook at the middle, textbook, reading. And the yellow one, the e-solution. E-solution are different from textbook. I believe you are aware of many platforms that students log in, they will present some learning material, they may present some learning exercise. But the important thing is this kind of learning platform can capture the learning data. They can capture the students' behavior and use big data analysis, some adaptive learning algorithm to make better response to the system. So learning solutions, learning platform are a new development and I believe there are some like math learning platform, the Carnegie Mellon system and some other system in the United States, they are beginning to see some noticeable results. The red box about e-assessment, again, assessment is a very important part of it. We need to not just the content and textbook, but we should be able to keep on understanding our students and able to tailor our teaching to individual needs, to handle diversified learning needs, and assessment will definitely be very important. There are 2 vertical paths that is again also important work of Hong Kong Education City. The blue column is about EdConnect, which means a single sign system. We hope to able to make sure that all the systems, all the services, content, platform will be able to be accessed by students using one account. That is very important, but not very easy because there are so many systems all over the place. And so we started a project to talk with the various service providers that we need a single sign-on for all the students. And of course, most of the people agreed, and so we started this infrastructure. The second part about the green one, the vertical bar, is about mobile strategy. Again, many of our contents, I believe, same everywhere. Many of our existing contents are on PC-based environment, web-based environment. They cannot be directly migrated to mobile environment easily. So it needs a strategy to say, like in 5 years, how we move our content, our systems into a mobile environment so that when the students bring their own device in a mobile classroom, we won't be asked a question like the content cannot be displayed, it didn't work. And so we need to plan for this early. We also always have to put an eye on technology development in the industry. And there is actually in the industry, like Gartner's research, they have a very comprehensive pictures saying like 40 or 50 very important technology development in the next few years. But how they would affect education, something we may know, something we don't know yet. Like a few things that I put down, like e-textbook, like bring your own device. It is already happening in some schools. It is an evolution, and it is happening almost right now. However, there are also something that are happening now, but they are not as straightforward as like e-textbook. Like the first one, the transformation technology, like the education tablets. Tablet, well, we all know iPad or Android tablets, but they are just consumer products. They are not from the beginning designed for education. What do we mean? Well, now the first thing is we always want our student to be able to write, right? You don't want your student only able to type but not able to write. But if you use too much e-technology, student beginning not able to write. So in terms of using technology, we have to take care of some very simple things like when we bring in technology, how the student write, how they speak, how they record their notes, and how they, like if you have one book and one exercise, right? This is a very standard way. You have one book telling you something and then an exercise book to do. But on a tablet, this is very difficult. You don't have a two-screen device that you can learn and study. And many of the assessment, the exam papers, are designed not for like a tablet screen. So many of our very good assessment tasks, like a comprehension exercise, cannot be implemented in a tablet because of the technology know-how. So just to briefly summarize, for technology for education use, they are not the same as consumer products. There needs some development, and I believe there are some development like this in mainland China, in United States, and even in I believe in United Nations, there is a group working on some standards about education tablet and e-textbook, how they can work together better. Talking about 5 to 10 years, again, there are some development there is already in place, like Wi-Fi everywhere, like gamification using game-based learning, or like a virtual environment, immersive education. These are already happening, but there are also some development more transformational, which I think worth mentioning. One is about big data. While computer scientists will know how this will impact our future learning, because the more data we collect, the more understanding and better algorithm we can develop to deliver our learning. Adaptive learning is already seeing some results, and to do big data and adaptive learning, we need to have some kind of education data standard. We need to have some common interpretation about skills, learning, and so on. So there are also some organization building international data standards. So somehow, probably a little bit, a few years down the road, we may be able to say compare Thailand school system student with some other cities based on some common education standard. We don't have to do a big exercise. We just extract some of the learning data from the system that can do. Another very good word that I always quote, and I'm glad that this morning we also have covered about the ecosystems. So in terms of education, we have the government's role about curriculum, education policy, budget, all very important. Schools' role, professional, pedagogy, learning and teaching. Business role to support infrastructure, technology, and so on. But still, we have something missing. Now, the first thing is about infrastructure and technology. Of course, we have commercial company able to build Wi-Fi, able to build the computer labs. But in a school environment, it's just not the same as other environment. And I believe in most of the schools who have used technology, the top question in teachers' mind is, it has to be reliable. Otherwise, they won't use it. So So the ability to have good service, reliable technical environment is not easy. The second question, also very difficult, is about integration. We have different service providers, like network, platform, content, textbook. But if a teacher have a questions, like a textbook, something didn't show up, for example, in an e-textbook, they have to call maybe the textbook publisher, maybe the school technician, maybe the network provider is part of the network that didn't work. So this become a very difficult environment to support. And so we need some integrator support, need some integration with the systems in order to make it easy to happen. And about standardization, I just mentioned the learning data, student data all need to be standardized in some way so that the data can pass on from one system to another. And for teachers, they don't have to cater for different systems for different subjects. Otherwise, a school have to handle many different systems. And scalable development. Once you have something that can work in a classroom, you can quickly replicate it into 20 classrooms with no problem. These are all the missions that we hope to achieve. Now, three important enablers: Wi-Fi, device, and resources. These are the three most basic things that you need in order for e-learning to happen, right? And actually, the biggest part should be the most simple part, but it doesn't turn out to be the case. It's about the Wi-Fi network. If you ever used a really bring your own device environment with like 30, 40 students bringing their device with about 1,000 devices in a school, you will know this is not a very straightforward environment. So to build a reliable Wi-Fi, we need a new thoughts to help the schools. Schools used to build like their own Wi-Fi in classroom. Teachers try to set up and look up the menu about the network thing. So teachers' jobs are very tough, right? They have to not just teach, but also sometimes have to know technical part. And in Hong Kong, we do that model as well. We have some IT teachers who do the infrastructure for the schools. But we find it very, very expensive, meaning that if we want to expand to like 1,000 devices in the schools, probably the school need to hire 2 or 3 staff in order to do that. And so it's not very economical. We need to develop a model that the school can just forget the network. They just use it. They don't have to bother about the environment, just like we use our mobile phone. Can we do that? There are 3 things. One is we need a service model. We don't want the school to set up their own hardware equipment that cause a lot of troubles in maintenance, support, upgrade. So we want the technology company to just provide the service to schools. School pay a monthly fee and then it will work. So these are we call a Wi-Fi as a service model to implement, and it has been quite successful. Now we have about 80% of the schools in Hong Kong adopt this model. Well, by the way, in Hong Kong, the government never forced the school to adopt any particular solution or a particular model. Schools are free to choose or pick their own best solutions. But we turn out that 80% of the schools choose this solution. This solution also has one particular feature that to manage 1,000 devices in a school is very troublesome. If you have to register the device and they cannot log in, you have to troubleshoot for them. It's very troublesome. So we also designed a single sign-on system. Students just use an Hong Kong SCT account password, log on the network, and the school, as I said, they don't have to bother about how they do that, but it just works. And this is a bit technical, but basically covers what I said. It needs a technology standard across the Wi-Fi infrastructure and a single sign-on solution. Second thing about the EdConnect, We have about 1 million students. Now we hopefully, we have about 80% of them has a single account that can access to many different services. We have Hong Kong SCT now, we have about 100 different partners providing maybe online platform, maybe ebooks, maybe network infrastructure. We all join together to make this simple environment works. If you imagine, if you don't have this single sign-on, it will be a mesh network with many different accounts, many different services. And about e-textbook, we also developed a bookshelf for schools. Why a bookshelf? Now, the bookshelf is important because we have many publishers in Hong Kong. We have active publisher for education, more than 100 in Hong Kong. And if every publisher develop their own platforms, it makes it very difficult for schools, right? A textbook is not just a book, it needs a platform to read it and to deliver the book, to subscribe to some exercise. So we have to work with many partners. We have publishers, e-learning, resource partners. We also have government organizations and private organizations and some overseas vendors as well. And on our platform, we have today actually about 300 different products, including books and platforms and even like projectors and so on, as long as they are for education. And we have different types of ebooks. Some are textbooks, some are for reading, different subjects, Chinese, English. And the e-bookshelf platform can be used from a PC, from a browser. It can also be used on Apple device and Android device. This, again, is very important for a publisher. It is very difficult for them to make their content available on all the platforms. You know, you have to triple your investment to do different platforms. But if they choose our platform, they just do it once, and the ebook will be available on different platforms. And another important thing is, you know, like Apple or Android, they keep on upgrading their system. Every time they upgrade, like iOS 9, some of the apps or ebooks will not work if they are not designed very properly or updated on time. So again, with a platform that publishers can rely on, whenever there is an upgrade, we already cater all the technical issues for them, so the schools feel more safe when they upgrade their device. So we have an online platform that they can subscribe books. We have special features that the teachers can actually assign the book to students. We also notice a problem that we cannot ask all the parents to buy ebooks because there are still like 20% of parents who probably are not that IT literate and able to handle this kind of network environment. So we need to simplify it and make sure that every student, like a 5-year-old, 6-year-old, still can access to this kind of e-learning environment. So the different publishers put their books on our bookshelf. Students have a single sign to log in, and we have learning data that can be shared with the schools. So schools can have some understanding about how the students use their books, and if there are some exercise to test the student, and the school can also get back some learning data. But this part is still at the beginning. We developed the infrastructure, but of course, to make it mature, we need some time for most of the publishers to participate in this kind of ecosystem. And we also have an e-read scheme that we put all the books together into a package. We hope to extend this e-read not just for single books, but has like a library concept. Or like university, we subscribe to many different journals, right? We have digital library of many different journals. So for primary and secondary school, we also want them to, like, for example, subscribe to an English reading package, or to maybe a history package, so that they will have they are able to access to a rich resources of information To make this model work, we are not taking the model that the government buy all the contents. I know in some cities, especially in East Asian cities, many of the government will pay and buy all the content for use by schools. But in Hong Kong, we are more flexible school systems, and so the schools will choose their own content, and the publisher have to sell the schools. But I think a very big difference that we introduced using this scheme is the publisher do not have to invest in technology. As long as they want to participate in this scheme, they just contribute their copyrights, and we will do the digitization for them. And schools will be able to access to these digital books at a very low cost, because the publisher don't have to invest too much. And the schools, they don't have to have a librarian to do a lot of cataloging, picking books. They don't have to do that, because we already have a group of teachers organize the books for them. So back to some basic infrastructure that I just covered. We do it one by one with the infrastructure, single sign-on, online delivery platform, and EdBook shelf. This is our 3-year scheme. Actually, we have already completed this 5 stages in the last 3 years. And looking forward, we have a 4th IT in education strategy and 6 action areas. First one about school infrastructure. In the next 2 years, we will equip all the schools in Hong Kong with Wi-Fi. Using that scheme, the VAS school model that I just mentioned. If without that VAS school model, I believe this whole process probably will take 5 or 7 years to do, but still, the school network will not be very reliable. Second item about e-resource and e-book that I also just covered. So we are not having a government initiative to build the e-books, but rather we are building an ecosystem to embrace all the publishers to participate in this big movement to prepare the e-books for students. The third thing about curriculum, pedagogy, and assessment, we will continue to have some research in this area. We will continue to evolve pedagogy and build the assessment, e-assessment platform. The fourth one back to the e-assessment. Actually, we started with some e-assessment platform. It works okay, but the ultimate goal for assessment is to integrate teaching and learning assessment together. We call TLA together. And we're beginning to feel that just with an assessment item bank and an assessment platform is not good enough. We are now exploring how to build the feedback to the students from this assessment system, so that we can really cater for diversity in learning. But this kind of environment needs bigger investment in the learning environment. The fourth item about leadership and community of practice. We build a Center of Excellence schools in Hong Kong, so that the school can share their practice and share with school districts about some of the practice, some of the good practice in schools. Now, the fifth one about the parents and community. Like I said, parents is a very important stakeholders that we need to support them as well. Community, we still have poor family. We still have families that their kids are not able to get any support from their family regarding e-learning. That will increase the digital divide and make the poor student even poorer. That is something that we don't want to see. So that's why we also have to engage a lot of community work, social organizations, social enterprise to bring in their support to poor families in case their families are really not able to help. And the sixth item about sustainable development. Other than the infrastructure, we also need to build the whole research structure as well, and all the ecosystem that I just mentioned. This time, we have gone through this journey for 15 years. We have some successful case, but they are not replicable, they are not scalable, they are not sustainable. So these are the problem that we are going to solve. It is not a very easy problem, but we hopefully we take forward these 6 action items, and in the next 5 years, we'll be able to really make ICT in education popular and able to be done in every school and for every student. Back to the student view of e-learning, there are lots of work to do, but we hope this kind of picture can be realized very soon, not just in Hong Kong, but I hope in many other cities like Bangkok as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Victor Cheng Pat-Leung, for the excellent information. Now I would like to call upon Dr. Ubonwan Hong Witthayakon, Deputy Dean of Chulalongkorn University, to kindly present the token of appreciation to our speaker. Thank you, the speaker and Dr. Ubonwan.